Alrighty, folks, welcome to the Whitfield Report special Sunday edition of the show. It's a rarity that I do the program on Sundays, and I'm your aforementioned host, Sam Whitfield, and you can follow me on all the regular places, on Twitter and Instagram, surprisingly not banned yet, at SamW_NGC. Gab, Minds, and Parler at Sam Whitfield, Facebook.com/The Whitfield Report, and TheSamWhitfield.com. And as always, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star rating and review. And follow us on all your favorite, podcatchers also. And as always, hit those thumbs up. So, anyway, folks, I want to thank you for joining me wherever you are in the past, present, future hour. My guest for this evening is Sean Semanko, who's been on before with Versa News Media, and he hosts Real News, and he is also starting his own organization. So as soon as I figure out how to get the split screen, oh, there we go. We will bring him on. So, Sean, welcome to the program. How are you doing, sir?
Good, thank you for having me on. I've been on, I think, twice before now, so I'm glad to come back again, as always.
I think this is actually your third time, but this is the first time that people have actually seen your face, and
Yes, you can see me now, guys. This is what it looks like.
so well, your hair is a lot curlier than I thought. So
Yes, it is very curly. I don't know where it comes from, honestly, but, I do have the sort of Jim Morrison curly hair going on here.
I'm I'm digging it. You are the Lizard King. So
I try.
well, actually, at this point, you're a secret king like the rest of us. So.
Yeah, I feel ya.
Anyway, Sean, you've been quite busy since the last time we talked on the program. So I mean, I guess just where do you want to start? I mean, there's a lot to kind of unpack. You're starting a new uh, organization. I'm not sure really how much we can talk about, but I mean,
Hmm.
what's kind of been going on?
Well, I can talk a little bit about like the principles of the organization, why it's created, why we're doing it, and I'm gonna wind the clocks back to about a few months ago when the whole Groyper wars were going down, all this stuff with Turning Point was going down, and free speech was being brought back up into the conversation. And as somebody who's a president of Turning Point and loves the work our chapter's done, loves our chapter, I want to also leave something of my own behind, some sort of legacy behind, something that, 'cause I'm a senior now in college, I want to leave a little piece behind or one day. And I've come to realize my most passionate issue, the thing that I've been fighting for the most on this campus and trying to accomplish is really freedom of speech, bringing it back to the forefront, bringing it actually like here on campus again. Because what I've noticed through my time at Turning Point is that even though Penn State says they support free speech, which they do, they support, they've let our speakers come to Turning Point, they let Sargon come, they let um, Hunter Avalon come, they let Don Jr. come in the past through Turning Point. But the thing is, I've learned there's not an environment for free speech. That's a big difference that people forget, is that even if you have the right to freely express yourself here, you do not have a safe, comfortable environment to actually freely express yourself. You will be docked points in classes. You'll be given Fs on papers or or just have you someone sent to write suggestions in it. You don't even have to be conservative or have to have it in there. But I've heard these stories from so many people, and we've been having trouble getting one particular speaker here who's not even, far right in any way. I mean, maybe he's gotten a bit, or she, more, evolved in their views recently and has changed a little bit. But at their core, the speaker is not somebody who is, like Richard Spencer or David Duke or somebody just wacky that I'd have no interest in bringing here.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed how bad it's getting. It's getting worse, and there's no conservative organization out there, no right-wing organization, no moderate organization that is actually fighting for free speech and it's actually fighting for the people that have been censored and fighting to bring this to our campus. Because you have college Republicans, which are getting better, but they're still nowhere near as what they need to be. You have Turning Point, but that's limited in its own rights, and I understand why it is, but it is limited. I want to create something that is unlimited in all capacities that can bring the people we want to bring back to campuses. Because there's so many people that we love that you don't see on campuses anymore. Why? Because these students are pressured, or they don't know the rules or how to work the system. They don't know sort of how to hold the universities to their own standards to get these people here. They don't know the whole process of doing speaking events, and so they're new to it. There's just a lot of factors that go on. And I've learned that there are ways you can get around it. There are ways you can bring them to these campuses, at least at Penn State, probably at a lot of our Big Ten schools, especially public schools. So I think it's time to actually bring these people back, to bring free speech back. Again, around to our election year, it's time we get people speech, actually, bring the edgy, controversial, cool, interesting people back on campus. They're fun and are actually bringing something to the table rather than these boring, speakers that like you'll see at CPAC or any other, boring old neocon stuff or old conservatism. So that's why I created this organization, Uncensored America, which if you go on our Twitter page at Uncensored AM or Facebook and all these other things, you'll see our mission statement layout right there, which is very simply a nonpartisan organization dedicated to protecting, promoting, and educating college students under First Amendment right to freedom of speech. And that's all it's about. And the reason I kept saying why these right-leaning organizations aren't bringing people is because you don't see it from the left, obviously. But an organization like this is open to both sides. All viewpoints can come. Any side can come discuss any issue. We can have any speaker from any viewpoint. It's totally open, totally uncensored. It's not meant to constrain or restrict anything in any way. So here we are today now. Hopefully going to get approved soon, and hopefully going to have our event. It looks optimistic, and when we do have it, you're going to know about it. All you people listening are going to know about it one way or another. It's going to be huge.
Do you think that this could become, I mean, obviously you're in the, intro stages of, promoting this organization, and obviously you're focusing on, your campus, Penn State now, but assuming that this does become successful there, do you think that there's potential for this to perhaps become a national organization, or have you not thought that far out yet?
That is where you're kind of reading my mind right now, because that's kind of what I've been thinking over the past few weeks. I see, especially after those Groyper Wars, which I want to be very clear with people, I do not like Nick Fuentes, and I do not like the Groyper movement as a whole. I mean, I've expressed my views with you. I'm not a trad person, that's all. I'm not this old school conservative. I don't know if I call myself conservative. I use that term because I feel like the term conservative has been rebranded under Trump. I'm just a huge Trump supporter, American populist, right-wing populist, American nationalist type. And I can tell there is a need for a third party here, a third faction, because on campuses you just have CRs and Turning Point or whatever. But there's a void that needs to be filled. There's some hunger out there for something that's more interesting. That's again bringing back the speakers and bringing back the sort of energy we had in 2016. And I don't see it anywhere. I don't see anybody else doing this. I see one of the Groypers, Jaden McNeil, is starting his own chapter. I don't know a lot about Jaden. It's called American First Students, I think, or something. And I don't know a lot about him, but you can see that there are other, conservatives, other leaning people that are starting their own organizations now. So we'll see where Uncensored America goes, but I'm going to be going to CPAC probably, in I guess from February 26th to the 29th. And I've heard CPAC has a lot of establishment cucks there, but I've also heard there's a lot of people like me, a lot of Trump supporters, a lot of young people, a lot of donors, a lot of sponsors. So I'm gonna talk to people about it. We'll see where it goes because I'd love to make it national.
I'd like to try and go too. The biggest problem with CPAC is it costs a lot of money, and
Yeah.
unless you go with an organization like Turning Point or Yale, it's kind of hard to make that happen. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm certainly going to try to go this year if I can, and I mean I think obviously for you starting a new organization, it would really be handy to go there as well. Now, regarding free speech on college campuses, I've noticed a few. Well, I don't want to kind of project my opinion onto you, but I guess kind from where I'm sitting, the free speech war is obviously still going on campus, but
Hmm.
have you noticed? Well, like I've certainly noticed that more and more students are um, becoming more pro free speech, I guess, and they're not even like necessarily conservative or liberal. They're just
Hmm.
kind of um, they're just anti PC at this point. Um, have you noticed that on your campus, or I guess what is kind of the free speech climate like among students from where you're standing? Because I've noticed it's changing for the better somewhat. Maybe not fast enough, but it is starting to change a bit.
I think since we've had in 2015, 2016 the rise of Donald Trump, which brought on a lot of speakers to campus like Ann Coulter, Milo Yiannopoulos, and Laura Loomer, I think, spoke at a few campuses. When you had that sort of cultural movement happening, I don't even think we realized at the time how huge that was. And I kept saying it was a big deal at the time. I knew it was exciting, but there was a lot won from that. We won a lot of battles as free speech, you know, advocates. I you see, here's the thing: free speech shouldn't be a partisan thing at all. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a left or right thing or a conservative liberal thing. But unfortunately, from my experience, there are liberals or leftists. I should call them leftists, not liberals. Leftists that will say they're pro freedom of speech, but they don't want to be advisor for my club. But they don't like hate speech. But they don't like this or that. So they're not really pro free speech. Lies people is what I've found. Like, if there's something that makes them uncomfortable that they don't like,
Yeah.
principles. And to give a little context to the advisor thing, at Penn State, to start a club, you need an advisor who's a faculty member or a full-time staff member who works for the university. And they have to sign off on this piece of paper to say, okay, I'm going to be the advisors club. I'm going to like watch over them, make sure everything's cool, and I'm going to play sort of like an instructor role to them. And that only got implemented in place, I think, about 2003 or 2004 is the first time they started doing that. And so you need that to start a club. But I found a problem. I asked 20 professors. All of them turned me down. I found one staffer that was able to do this, that had no issue with what we were doing, that was cool with what we were doing, and signed off on it. 20 professors said, no, this is too hot to touch. I mean, that is insane. It's incredibly demoralizing and demotivating to see, rejection after rejection after rejection. And you'd see some that would be like, oh, I'm busy with this and that. And I think some of them are true, but some of them I don't know about. And you had the ones that were, I talked to one professor that was legitimately scared to sign off on this because he said, look, I'm probably more conservative than you, and he was. But I don't feel comfortable doing this because I'll be ostracized from academia. I think people don't realize it's actually I think the students, like you said, I think they're getting a little more pro-free speech, maybe a little bit, I think. But at the same time, I don't know. I think these rabid leftists that you see from like college Democrats or the socialists, they tried to shut down our Turning Point chapter for hosting Sargon. And they said, "Oh, we're just decharged. We just want you decharged. We don't want you getting money to fund events." Well, to do that, you have to shut down the club because every club is chartered. So they wanted to basically shut us down.
And even if that wasn't the case, I mean, you're still effectively shutting down a club by cutting off funding, too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
It,
suppressing. You're silencing us. You're making us unequal to you guys.
yeah, I mean, it's insane. I mean, at this point, too, one of the things that I found interesting is, Bill Maher, of all people, who's not a friend of conservatives at all in the last
Yeah,
few years, has said that he won't go on college campuses anymore because the left is they've become so bad that like not even he is allowed to go on college campuses.
and it's because he's pro free speech and he's critical of Islam. That's two things that are on the checklist for leftists today.
Yeah, well, and they're trying to me to him as well. Not really, that's not really working out well, but they're definitely trying to. Um, in regards to kind of how the right is doing, I haven't spent too much time, but what do you think of this whole thing? Because the right seems to kind of be in a weird flux. As well.
Mm.
And again, I mean, I'm like you. I don't really consider myself like ultra right wing, but I merely ended up here because I was mainly, I mean, I was mainly a guy who just wanted to kind of like have fun and joke around with my friends back in high school and make like politically incorrect jokes, and the left, kind of made it so that all of us who wanted to have fun automatically became right wing. But I've got to ask you, that you mentioned Nick Fuentes earlier, and I just have to ask you, what do you make of this whole, thing with Nick and the Catboy and of
Oh, I think it's adorable. No, I'm kidding, but I and I'll address the thing you said about the joking around free speech. 'Cause I think that's important too. But Nick Fuentes, I don't know a lot about him. I've seen some of these clips have been circling of him saying some stuff. Like the thing he said about race mixing, like, I'm sorry, that's insane. In 2020 to be against race mixing is insane. I know if you have a personal preference and you want to date within your own race, okay, I understand that. It's just we're attracted to certain things. Like some people are into certain skin colors or certain hairstyles and hair colors and whatnot, and some are. I get that. But like even when Milo interviewed him, he's like, "Are you insane to believe that?" And like today, I mean, he's too trash for my taste, and he keeps harping on Israel. And it's like, look, I'm not even I'm kind of. I used to kind of not be a big fan of Israel. Now I'm kind of. I don't really have a stance or care too much about it because I see him as they can be a strategic advantage, and we hardly give them any money, so I don't get what the big deal is considering all the other stuff we spend money on. But they need to fix their priorities. So they're looking at stuff that's really, like Israel. Like, who cares? I mean, evangelicals are the only people that care about Israel, and they're going to be as pro-Israel as anybody else. Like, they're going to be super pro-Israel. So you're just going to piss off a huge base of conservatives if you make this a mainstream talking point. I mean, I'm all for America first, and I don't want to be, because Israel has a lot of money. They can fend for themselves, of course, but foreign aid is sort of a more strategic, complex thing where if you threaten a country, like if you want a country to do something, you say, hey, we're going to pull your foreign aid if you don't do X, if you don't do Y. So I don't see why this is such a big thing among them. Like, I kind of get where they're coming from on it, but I will say, like, I know Groypers personally, and I know people that follow Fuentes. They're a real mixed bag. Some of them are just super trash. Some of them are nationalists. Some of them are legit racists and legit anti-Semites. I've had personal beef with some of these people,
Oh
and
yeah, me too.
yeah, so you understand, like it's hard to, you know, I don't want to generalize these people, but Fuentes
Right.
himself is, I look, I will say this, I know I've known some trad people. I'll tell you one thing, at least with girls, and it's probably the case with guys too, the more trad they get, the more full of it they are. Okay?
I
Let's look at Lauren Southern's a good example.
yeah. But also, Lauren Southern is also extremely hot too. So
She is.
there's that. I will
Yes.
and I will say this too regarding the Fuentes thing and the whole trad movement. I said this on Thursday on my podcast. I think there's a fine line between you know what the absolute extreme left wants with trans kids and and
Yeah.
like you know basically like pedophilia, and then there's like the extreme, there's the extreme ultra, like trad, life, no fap, uh you know section
Yeah.
of the right. And like I obviously, I think people get I think there's like a fair middle ground where the rest of us are, where like we don't want pedophilia, but if you see a hot chick, it's not going to be the end of the world, either.
Yeah.
Or
Well, as I always say, it's a balance. Everything's got to be balanced, as all things should be. To quote Thanos, it's you know, I think the thing is with these trad people, most of the time when people go ultra trad, super trad, it's because they're guilty of something they've done in the past, something that is degenerate, and they're making up for it now, or it's their way of handling their guilt. And I look, let's be honest. Like Nick is what 21, 22. He's my age. I mean, he's been through teenage years. He knows that when you're a guy and you hit puberty, you're horny 24/7. And if you haven't gotten with a girl in that span, you're either like me and you're super picky, and you have super high standards, and you had trouble getting girls for,
yeah.
or there's something else. And here's the thing. I mean, look, I'm not saying he's gay 'cause I don't know. I really don't. It wouldn't surprise me. It just wouldn't surprise me. And these groypers are already, the infighting and the purity tests are already insane. And if they are gonna, they'll eat Fuentes alive. I mean, they already kind of are for that. But if they found he was gay, oh my God, he's done, gone, finished, never coming back for their
Well,
movement at least.
honestly, and like my whole thing is like I don't if he's gay, I don't really care.
I don't
And
either.
I
Just
mean,
honest about.
I my biggest problem is like when people like him throw stones in glass houses. That's when I have to laugh. It's like, look, I'm not perfect either.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally relate. It's like I have flaws in my life, but I own up to it and I'm honest about it. I mean, I'm not gonna and look, here's the thing that the gropers keep telling me. They're like, "Oh, you want to know all about sex life? You want to publicize it?" I'm like, "No, I can just tell from this guy the way he talks about women and the way he talks about other things. He doesn't know shit about women. He doesn't know shit 'cause he hasn't dated one. I mean, and that's fine if he hasn't, but just don't act like, no e-girls. Oh, the wife should stay at home. It's like, dude, you're living in your mom's like home still. Like you know that it's, or at least I hope you know that it's an expensive world out there. The cost of living is insane. You can't just have the wife at home all the time. I mean, both my parents had to work because shit's expensive, like braces and college and all these things, clothes, food, gas. I mean, that's the thing I have with these groups is that my issues are so unrealistic. But I will talk with them. I want to have a conversation with them. I want to hear their grievances because some of them are legitimate and they have some good points. And some of these people are genuinely smart. But from my experience, they don't want to talk. I told them, I said, hey, we can come to a meeting. Turning point meetings are wide open. You can come. They've just stopped coming. They used to come, now they stop. And a lot of them, from my experience, are clout chasers. They want attention. They want members. They want to rise up. They want to be something. They want to be the shit. But they're not. They're unfortunately they just are spiraling out of control, and it's not going to be anything mainstream, but they're raising some legitimate concerns, and it's complicated. Nick Fuentes says, "Hey, I'll give him this. He is energetic. He is charismatic, and he's got talent in him. But he's got to get rid of the trash shit. He's got to get rid of ultra conservative stuff because that's gonna be his ultimate downfall. Because he's creating his own sort of monster that's going to eat him one day. Unfortunately."
I just ultimately I want the trads to give me back my fashion, you know, statement, dude. Because I used to, I mean I still do, wear like blazers and Ray-Bans and whatnot, and everyone's like, oh, you want to? I'm like, nope, not. I'm like, nope, not a. I'm not a trad.
Here's the hipster.
I did that first. Yeah, I'm more of like a punk rock hipster, like Gavin. I mean, and
Yeah.
I was doing that, way before I even knew who, Gavin was. So also, I guess Joe Rogan recently kind of, sort of, but not
Mm,
really endorsed. It wasn't really even like an endorsement, I don't think. It was like, if you had to vote for Bernie, would you? And Rogan said yes, and now the left is upset with Bernie because Joe has had on right-wing people before. So, uh, I mean, what do you make of all of that?
well, I seen that little clip too that they're playing. But yeah, it's like kind of a semi endorsement. I Joe Rogan, I love what he does. His podcast is fantastic. Even though I wish he'd have more of the edgier people on more frequently. But I understand why he does the things he does, like being in those Hollywood circles. Like he's got to kind of, he can't get too crazy with his guests. I get that, but I think endorsing Bernie is, it could be a virtue signal. It could mean something or nothing. Because remember, he told Gary Johnson, he's like, "Oh, come on the podcast, I'll vote for you." It's like, dude, Gary Johnson's an idiot. Like he's a nut.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, I think the thing with Joe Rogan is that he is very like. You'll see it's like when he talks about the Proud Boys, he goes like back and forth. With Gavin, he's like, "Oh, I love Gavin, he's a good friend, cool dude," and the Proud Boys just were, this fun thing he's doing. And then like he's on some other guys, he's like, "Oh yeah, got out of control," and Gavin's like, "Oh, it's all going crazy." I'm like, Joe, like, come on, like, I can tell he doesn't research. And that's why he always goes, "Jamie, pull that shit up," because he doesn't do his research, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the whole thing with the Proud Boys too got weird because I was actually a subscriber to Compound Media
Mm-hmm.
when that whole thing got established. I mean, originally it was a joke. Originally, someone actually approached me about starting a chapter in my area, actually, of the Proud Boys, and I said no, not because I was like against it, but because I was just like, this is kind of like, I'm not really sure what this is, and also like I'm too busy with college,
Yeah.
at the time. So, and now, I mean, I think I think it was a case, where like maybe a few bad apples ruined the whole bunch, which is unfortunate. But that's why I don't like. That's why I don't like these conservative, cults either. Like, like
Mm-hmm.
like the whole trad movement, or like, in my case, I had to deal with Owen Benjamin's Unbearables for about a year. A year.
They live up to their name.
Yeah, well, they definitely do, and now there's this Vox Day guy too, or Teddy Spaghetti
Oh.
the internet now calls him. So, there's all sorts of of weirdness, about both sides. I think, and what I like about your organization is you kind of want to bring that back to the center. Um,
Yes. Well, because I think, look, free speech should be something that everyone agrees on, but we don't. That's an issue. You know, I think we got to bridge that gap, and I think I'm disappointed when you see people on the right shutting down right-leaning voices or voices they are uncomfortable with, because that's what the left's been doing. And we all said that sucked, and we all said that's bad, because it is. So why are we doing that? I don't want to do that. And look, if the Groypers have great ideas, if they have bad ideas, we'll have a debate with them. I'd love to. We do that, and if their ideas are better, our ideas are better, it'll come out. Whichever one that is will come out on top, and people will decide. I don't see why that's a controversial idea, but it is today, because you see this sort of guilt by association. Like I said with the professors, they are just afraid to associate with this club because you're going to be labeled a Nazi or racist or whatever, even though I hate racism, I hate Nazis, I hate the alt-right, I hate all those isms and whatever isms, but they will still lump you in with that, and they'll try to ruin your life for that. And these professors were telling me stories like how, everything for a professor is not just the classroom, it's beyond it when they were doing these papers and these collaborations with other academics. And when they find out that you're a semi-conservative or you somewhat lean right, they will ostracize you, and you're done, and you feel like your life's over. You feel crushed by it. So I just want to bring all these sides together and get talking again like decent people.
yeah,
And
and I'm glad you brought up
yeah.
that it happens to professors too, because like I've known like actual like closeted conservative professors who will like read a paper and they're like, "Hey, I'm not going to dock you points on this paper, but
Mm,
because I like secretly agree with you, but according to the I don't know kind of curriculum and edict, I should, and here's
mm-hmm.
why." And I'm like, but you're the I'm like, but you're the professor. You can give me, whatever grade you. And they're like, yeah, but like if the department head found out about, this or something, then I could get in trouble.
Yeah.
It's very weird how, and I mean and that was actually at my old school. I actually go to a pretty, good campus now, for the time being, but it's very weird how even conservative professors are intimidated into silence.
Absolutely. And I didn't realize this until after starting this, trying to get this club going, talking to these professors. This problem runs way deeper than we imagine. It is severely bad. It is so bad. One story I heard was there's this one woman who works in one of the departments who's a teacher, young, new. I think they just suspected she was conservative. They didn't even have proof. I don't even think she was conservative. I don't remember. I can try to figure that out. But she is the, quote, loneliest person, unquote, according to one professor, in this department. That is awful to treat a human being that way, that you disagree with them, that you're just going to say, well, we're not going to talk to you anymore. We're just going to say hi because we have to, and that's it. I mean, that's just terrible. And the fact that we live in that climate in academia, and it couldn't be more clear because I have somebody I know is in a class that's extremely SJW, one of the most I've ever seen. It's called Disabilities Cultures, and
Ah.
it's yeah, you'd have a field day with this one, Sam. It's awful. They don't want to call you like if somebody came up to you and said, "Hey Sam, you look really nice today," you're not allowed to say that because that implies you looked bad before and you're now just looking nice. And you also have to use people first language. What the hell does that mean? People first language? That this is this idea that you can't say blind person or another one would be like colored person, but that's not disabilities in this. But that's to do with race. But in terms of disabilities, like if you're saying blind person, you're supposed to say person who is blind. Like, add more
Oh.
words, make it more complicated. It sounds stupid, but that's what they did with the term colored people.
Oh.
They said,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, for
They just
fuck's
changed it to
sake.
people of color. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. As an actual disabled person, I would not make it through that class. I'm pretty sure you would find me in my dorm, like hanging myself or trying to. So.
It's just awful because it's like I said, they did this with race, with colored people. They say you can't say that. It's people of color. Now they're doing it with disabilities, where it's not blind person, it's person who is blind. I mean, it's pretty demeaning. They think, oh, you have to be super nice to these people and say these super nice things because they can't handle words to describe what they are. Like you couldn't even say somebody suffers from schizophrenia. You can't say that because suffering implies it's a condition. It is, and it's terrible. And
Well,
they do suffer.
and if and like that's a legit one where like if someone does suffer, like you need to know about that in case they have like a in case they have like an episode like and this
No,
is
you can't, Sam. That is just you can't
well
assume that.
well
You're an awful person. I
but
mean, this is it's not a disability, Sam. It is just a I forget what they call it. Diversibility. They had some other stupid term for
oh
it. I
my
can't remember
oh my god. Well,
it.
in all seriousness though, this is where this shit gets fucking dangerous though because okay,
Yeah.
say that there is a schizophrenic person, right? And say that they have an episode and they like project like something onto someone and they end up like harming someone accidentally. Like that's where this shit gets dangerous because when we can't identify people like that because of political correctness, that that's when people I mean that's the thing with like AIDS tests in California now. Like
Hmm.
there's that bizarre law that like you're no longer required to notify your partners, and it's like what are
Yeah.
you uh, yeah. And yeah, I mean, and it all stems from this SJW you know nonsense. Um,
And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because people like the normies or the people that aren't paying attention much to like as this stuff as we do, they think like oh, conservatives are just being crazy, saying like political correctness kills or political correctness is this awful thing. No, it is. Like we're seeing it. And if you don't believe it, like just listen to what we're telling you about this stuff and think of what can happen. And it's just yeah, and also people say, "Oh, it's conspiracy that the left is like brainwashing students and all this." No, they are with this class. This is brainwashing because they had to read a pledge twice. They had to read every single student was forced to read a pledge saying they would use people first language. It's not even a freaking option. You have to use people first language. You want me to read the pledge? I could do that. It's chilling. Like it is absolutely just. Oh, I mean, I'm the person I know has to take this to get like some credits, but it's one of just the most ridiculous things, and it shows how the left is very good at taking control of institutions, especially an institution where there is young people becoming adults, filtering them through that transition phase and brainwashing them and changing not only how they speak but how they think. That's the important thing. When you change and control how people speak, you change how they think, and that's what they want to do. Even if these people don't realize that, because this is their worldview, they think they're virtuous and doing the right thing. But the people that are behind all this know exactly what they're doing. I'll read the pledge for everyone. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, you can write this down so you can say this so you can be a good, upstanding, socially just citizen. The pledge that they have to read in this class is, quote, changing the way I think means changing the way I talk. So they just said it right there, what I was just talking about. I pledge to make a change one conversation at a time. I will use person-first language and educate others. I understand person-first language is about having respect and following the rule to, quote, Do unto others as you would have them do to you. I mean, this is just like, this hurts your brain. Like, you're just trying to learn this new language of SJWism. This is cancer. This stuff is cancer. I mean, it's offensive to people who have cancer. It's that bad. It's just awful.
Yeah, if I had to do that, I would be like, fuck you, flunk me. Second
I'm not gonna lie. I am tempted to take this class right now if I can still take it. Get in there, and then right before the drop deadline, just drop the class. After red pilling everyone, having some fun, annoying her, and causing trouble, it would be just funny.
You should like GoPro like James O'Keefe style and just
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my
I mean, you
god.
can uncover so much juicy footage.
I mean hell at this point like I would even fly out there and like fake and roll myself and I mean obviously I don't have the money to even get onto Penn State's campus. So but
Yeah, you probably have something like this at your campus. You just have to look. It's there.
not on my specific campus. On the one up in Tampa, there's a whole bunch of this BS. But no, I actually my my specific campus tends to focus on business and marketing and
Oh,
whatnot,
how
which
dare
is
they?
yeah. I actually I have one professor. I'm not gonna say who it is because I don't want this person to get lynched by the
Yeah.
but I actually had a professor who had the audacity to say that if you use any other uh, if you use any other term other than he or she when writing like a business plan or
Hmm.
something, you would actually get docked points if you went into SJW language.
What?
And I'm like, holy shit, Professor So and So is fucking based. So,
I love
so,
it.
oh yeah, I actually like thanked, and they're like, what? And see, like this is the other thing, like none of this shit exists outside of college
Right.
campuses either. And I mean, and a lot, and from what I'm hearing from a lot of professors too, is like there's kind of a there's kind of like a big war going on because like half of the professors are into like all this social justice crap, and then the other half is like, look, we need to get these kids prepared for like actual jobs and careers, and like this shit is going to get them laughed out of interviews, and
Yeah.
that's the big problem. So
Well, yeah, that's good you mentioned that too, because again, we're illustrating how this is not a free speech environment. If you're forced to read a pledge to change how you think, is what she says. And then on top of that, they're not preparing you for the real world, which is what college should be doing. And the real world doesn't give a shit about people first language. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. And I don't think anybody that's disabled does either. And you can't use words like, I think, retarded and all these other words. And I'm like, well, my brother's retarded. He has autism and mental retardation. What am I supposed to call it? I mean, it's just like, okay, somebody is missing, is and I don't think you can use, if you use handicap as like weird implications in this class, so you can't really use that term. Something like, if somebody has cancer, what are you supposed to call it? Like, these people are insane. I mean, look, I noticed this too, like with the Sargon event. I used to get like, yeah, the SJWs are crazy, yada yada, but like most lefties are kind of somewhat normal and okay. But I've learned from that Sargon event when we had all these protesters calling Sargon a pedophile and a rapist and all kinds of other egregious, slanderous terms, and attacking our club, trying to shut it down. These people are insane. Like, they're genuinely insane. These SJWs and far leftists, they are insane. Like, I go out to them at the event and I say, they're all holding these signs. And like one with a quote, Sargon, Jerry Sandusky, said like, oh, one pedophile's locked up and the other isn't, and I'm like, okay, maybe he's not a pedophile then. And they started like chanting like, no Trump, no KKK, no fascism, all that's same shit. And I asked him like, look, tickets are free. You can come into the event. You can talk to us, have a conversation, you can ask the speakers a question. And this girl in front of me literally said no. No. I'm like, okay, that's you're not interested in the conversation. It's here to virtue signal to get clout, as I heard one of them claim that the point of them releasing a statement calling the shutdown was just for clout. That's what I've heard on the inside, and I believe it because they're disingenuous and full of shit, these people. They do not care about any of this stuff. They do not believe in they like, it's like Gavin McGinnis has that one bit where he says like, if the KKK like came to like an action like a into town, like these people would actually be shocked, or when he got pepper sprayed in New York City or NYU, and he did this thing where I don't want to say because I'm gonna be taken out of context, probably it's gonna get clipped and I'm gonna become a racist, but he said these things like that would make him sound like a racist, and he goes, just kidding, that's what you think they are, and like their mouths just like dropped when he said these things, and then when he said just kidding, like, oh, okay. So it's like these people don't even believe in this stuff. Yeah. And they just are absolutely just rabid, mean, vindictive, scary. Well, not really that scary, to be honest. Just like they're just crazy, and they're just very mean-spirited people that have no interest in conversation. None of them came into our event. That just proved the point right there, that they have no interest in conversation.
The ironic thing, too, is they called Sargon a pedophile, right? Yeah, these are the same people who think that, that like 9-year-olds, like cross-dressing and dancing for, like full-grown men with, like visible boners is okay. And it's like,
yeah.
And it's like, what? Like, in what universe is Sargon a pedophile, but yet, this other thing, which is actually pedophilia, isn't pedophilia? So
yeah, and here's the thing too. They cry about these alt-right monsters and boogeymen that are like around every corner, like they're in your office, they're in a cubicle next to you. They think they're everywhere. Well, they're not. But you people are fueling the possibility of this shit. That's a good thing. Right?
Was ever really?
Oh yeah.
On it, but when everyone was freaking out that Trump, everyone thought that everyone was like in a panic that we were going to go to World War III with Iran because Trump,
Oh god. Yeah.
Because Trump, and by the way, like even like part of my audience agrees with me, but I still think it was a good I still think it was a good thing that Trump droned that motherfucker. I have no problem saying that. But and no, we obviously weren't going to go to World War III. But the two funniest things I saw was when Richard Spencer like rage tweeted that he was done with Trump. Like he rage tweeted that. And then the next weirdest thing was when I can't remember exactly who it was on The View, but one of those chicks on The View actually said that Richard Spencer was off the Trump train. And the audience and them literally clapped that Richard's. Imagine. Okay. Imagine that now. The left loves Richard Spencer, like an actual like ethno-state guy, because he came out against big bad Trump. Like.
Yeah.
And like it's like, what? You guys are so opposed to Trump now that you are literally praising the guy who back in like 2016 you were Like people are trying to say that Trump and Richard Spencer were like in the same room, even though they,
Oh, I thought they were like buddies.
yeah, it's weird. And now Richard Spencer is like being praised by them as being, like stunning and brave for standing up to Trump or
They do this with so many people. It's so tiring. Like, look at Lindsey Graham. They hated Lindsey Graham forever because they thought he was a warmonger. Once he started talking shit on Trump, oh my God, Lindsey Graham is stunning and brave. I wish we had more Republicans like that.
but
It's so disingenuous.
and then what was weird was once Lindsey Graham became like based and like kind of went
Yeah, 2.0.
and then went after went after them for going after Kavanaugh. Then they were trying to find shit on Lindsey Graham
Yep.
too. It was like, oh well, Lindsey Graham is now defending Judge Kavanaugh, so I think we found like an intern somewhere from from like 30 years ago that he might have done something with, or something. So
Yeah, yeah. Their tactic now is not just silence you; it's cancel you. They learned it's successful, and it is. Because people ostracize people like that they think are awful. And there's two things too to pick up on this too. I'm glad you bring this up too, because I've noticed that a lot of these people, on the trad right, and the Groyper movement. Do you remember when the Syria strikes happened and there were people freaking out?
oh yeah,
I knew somebody that I guess he's probably a Groyper today. He's in that those sort of circles. He burned his Art of the Deal the night of the Syria strike, and he was like, "Fuck Trump, I'm also Trump." I'm like, people are nuts. It's just emotional knee jerk on the right is really pissing me off because we're better than that. We should be smarter than that because we are. And when you're doing that, you're just feeding the left like ammo of like, oh, this is how we can get them to jump ship on Trump. Look, he fires a few missiles in Syria. Nobody died, I don't think. I mean, maybe some people did. I don't remember all the details, but it wasn't like we murdered 1 million people and there was a genocide. We fired some missiles and that's it, okay? I mean, and in Iraq, he was killed in Iraq, but Soleimani, he was clearly a sick, bad dude that was funding people that have killed us. I mean, what's Trump going to do? An American dies, you're supposed to just let that go? I mean, if Obama was in office and this shit was going on, the right would be freaking out, and rightfully so. When Trump takes them out, they all freak out over some stupid reason, and the left freaks out, and it's totally disingenuous about it, too. Like Tulsi Gabbard, now I really lost respect for her because she was jumping on the whole anti-war train, like, oh, Trump's going to start World War III. I'm so great. I don't want war. It's like nobody wants fucking war. Trump doesn't want war. Nobody wants war. I mean, I get tired of it because it's like, I mean, come on, people. Just droning this general is not going to start World War III. And spoiler alert, it didn't.
well,
we're still here.
yeah, well, and and then people were like also saying like to me like, oh well, it makes sense that you would be okay with war, Sam, because you interviewed Ben Shapiro and he's like a warmonger. It's like what?
Guilt by association again.
Yeah, guilt by association. Like even Ben Shapiro, like there's a lot of shit I disagree with Ben on. These days. First off, for the upteenth time, I want to remind people that was 12 years ago when I interviewed Ben. He's changed since then.
Yes.
For the
It's a different
worse,
time.
he's gotten a lot shorter since the last time I talked to him. So
How is that possible?
how is it possible when I'm only like 1.5? Like I'm not that tall myself. I'm a short dude, but like
now he's not even going to be allowed into the theme park. He's so short.
Ben is like Joe Pesci short. So
Well, at least Joe Pesci knows how to get things done and does them properly.
Yeah, oh, speaking of that, what do you think of based Ricky Gervais now?
I love Ricky. I've always loved Ricky. He's always been a great comedian. I've always loved him. I loved his Idiot Abroad series where he sent his sidekick Carl Pilkington around the world, and that was hilarious. That was my first big exposure to Ricky. I haven't watched The Office, but I've heard good things about it. And I plan to watch his show Afterlife. I saw his Netflix special Humanity, right? That was right when the Count Dankula shit was going down. People forget when Dankula was going to get fined, and he did. And Gervais was the only guy defending him of mainstream celebrities. The only one. I've always been a Ricky Gervais fan. Actually, I first heard about him through his Golden Globe stuff. That was probably when I first heard about him. 'Cause I think that was before An Idiot Abroad, and I remember the first time in 2010, I think, when he did it. So I remember watching Bill O'Reilly at the time and seeing some of the clips, like when he said about, he's like, our next presenter has been in movies like Iron Man, this and that, and he's also uh, been. And you may know him from the Betty Ford Clinic in the LA County Jail. There's Robert Downey Jr. Like, he was so good at that, and they were like, "Oh, he's all mean and he's not cool. He's nasty." It's like, no, he fucking wasn't. He was funny. He was edgy and offensive and cool. And then this time, oh my god! I mean, I didn't. I had high standards. I expected it to be good. I did not expect it to be this good, where he just took a flamethrower to all of them and burned their hypocrisies to the ground. Like when you see Tom Hanks' face, I'm just like, you're an idiot. Like, come on, grow up.
I was, and the best part is like the whole entire time he's like, yeah, I don't care anymore. Last
Oh
time,
wait, I never did.
last time. Um, so yeah, I literally don't care. And then with the whole Epstein thing, he's like, well, he's your friend. He's not my
Yeah,
friend.
yeah,
So
yeah. And then I love the again. You could tell he had some just perfect material at the perfect time. Like the last time he got up, you notice they didn't have him come up as much as before. But the
oh
last time
yeah,
he came up, he said like he was introducing Sandra Bullock, and he said she started a movie Bird Box, or featured people who were navigating the world while acting like they didn't see anything, or something like that. I forget how he worded it. I don't
yeah.
like ruining his bits, but then he said kind of like the victims of or people around Harvey Weinstein or something like that. I was like, oh, he went there. He's just, oh, I love Ricky.
Yeah, I have to tell you from what I've heard, I I don't want to assume it, but from what I've heard from some people I know who are kind of in the comedy circle, Jerry Seinfeld is also actually pretty based. Actually, in fact,
Because he spoke out against PC stuff, like on campuses.
yeah. Well, and now like Jerry Seinfeld, who is about as clean as you can get when it comes to comedy, is no longer
Mm.
allowed on campuses. And when the whole thing with Louis C.K. happened, who, by the way, I fucking love Louis C.K. I think is one of the greatest comics of all time, honestly, but certainly of our current generation. And when he got, I mean, first off, he owned up to all of his shit with the Me Too.
Yeah.
When no one else was, when everyone else was like denying, Louis was like, yeah, I did this like 20 years ago. It was consensual, but still, I know it's wrong. I'm sorry. I'm gonna, take a break. And that and
Mm.
that and see that's something with me too. Is like he apologized. He tried to make things right. He even took time off. He's still getting ostracized. Like at what point with the SJW left? At what point is it good enough to where you pay your penance? I mean, is there any sort of redemption? Apparently not. And this is kind of the clown world we're in now, where everyone is expected
Hmm.
to be perfect all the time. So
Yeah, yeah. Like purity tests are now like a nationwide thing that everybody holds. It seems and I think society's eventually going to have to some things like that. And you need to find a line when to accept their apology and let them come back. I think Louis one that you can let come back. Hart Weinstein, hell no. He can rot in hell forever. And people would be fine with that. There's different cases, and you gotta understand all these celebrities are basically screwed up people, and they basically have a bunch of issues. They've done some stuff. They've had crazy lives, and you can't hold this such a high standard for people who, if you're going to hold this standard, like if you've done something you don't like, well, then all of them are gone. So you got to draw a line and say, okay, somehow punish them maybe and bring them back, or forgive these and bring them back. You got to think of something, because I'm surprised they didn't try anything on Gervais after that. And I think the only reason they haven't been so aggressive with him is they've known that this is his shtick with the award show, and it's fantastic. I love it. It never gets old. But he just hit them so hard, so perfectly. It was one of the best, uh, you know, award show. No, it is the best award show, performances of all time. Period. It is just on another level, and he just killed it. He's one of the few comedians, one of the few public figures out there that is truly fearless and pro free speech. He's someone I love Uncensored America to host one day, maybe.
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I would even fly out to Philly to see that in the winter time, and I hate Philly in the winter time. But I would
I hate Philly in any time.
really so
I don't want to get shot.
so that's the other thing. So where would you want to go to after you get done with college? Florida,
Honestly, I would love
Florida.
to live where I have some family from in Michigan. It's one of the most beautiful, nicest states out there. It's in the Midwest, which
Michigan
means
is
the people.
beautiful. I have family out there as well.
Oh, we have so much in common. It's scary, crazy.
It is.
But Michigan is just such a lovely state. The people there are so nice. That's what I love about the Midwest. They're just so nice, and it's blue collar, working class. It's moderate. Your vote matters. It's not like California where it doesn't matter especially if you're a Republican like me. And it's just a nice place to live, and it's coming back. I think Trump's bringing jobs back. It's just a lovely place. And look, you live only once. I want to live somewhere that I genuinely like. I don't like cities. I like being near one. So. And I like water, and Michigan's got plenty of that.
Florida's pretty nice too, though. Sean, if I,
It's too hot for me. It's just,
it,
yeah, I'd love to visit there, but I can't live
it
there.
it's hot only in the summer, but which is when I end up going to Michigan actually. But
Hmm.
the winters here are nice, although it did get down to 30 this week, so we were all freezing. So
Oh, come now. I've been doing with single digits for a while now.
oh yeah, I'm sure you have global warming my ass. So
That's
I'll
the other
go.
thing Gervais brings up. So all these people are like, "Oh, I care about global warming. Oh, I care about all these things." It's like, no, you don't. Like, it's like you don't know what working class average people care about. It's just so ridiculous. And he just like slapped them all across the face, and they hate it. Some of them laugh. I think DiCaprio took his joke well, and a few others did. But man. I hate the elitists. Trust me, as you can tell. Like, I would love to be rich. I would hate to be elitist.
I
That's why I love people like Trump.
Yeah, same here. I actually heard, and I don't know if you can confirm this or deny this, or if you even know this, but I read that after he passed away, Milo ended up getting Hugh Hefner's like personal journal somehow. Don't ask me.
Really?
Don't ask me how Milo got it, I don't want. I don't even want to know. But supposedly Hef was going based before he passed
Really?
passed away. Well, I mean,
I don't know about that, but I would have to research that.
he
Maybe next time I get him on my show, I can ask him.
he was. Well, I know that Hef was anti-censorship, and I also know that
Kind of
someone.
has to be.
Yeah, I also know that someone wrote, like, it might have been Milo wrote an op-ed for Hef that pissed the entire left off. But
Mm.
anyway,
I think he did. Yeah.
but that's kind of what I find fascinating is that, like, the figures that used to be like left for sure are now considered right because uh, just everyone hates censorship essentially. So
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think creating this organization, Uncensored America, is so important because there's a lot of what this is the one issue I have with the Groypers that's kind of growing is that coming into an election year, you need unity on your side. You need to put your differences aside, like we did in 2016. Said, all right, Trump's our guy. We're going to vote for him. The neocons and the cucks were still going to screw us over, and like we kind of pushed them out, and all the establishment, we're still trying to push them out. But everybody else, the normal people, the extreme people, whoever in between, we all unified and voted him in, and we got him in. The left does this better every time, though. That's like the one time they didn't, and with Reagan too, like when you had that landslide. But the left, the Democrats, they are always unified. They're really good at this. They'll have their bickering, their infighting, but at the end of the day, they'll support their candidate, and there's something to be said for that. And the way
sure.
I look at it is, don't make perfection your enemy. If just because this candidate isn't perfect on every little thing, you go, oh fuck him, I'm not gonna vote for him. Like that's just stupid. I'm sorry, because look, they are closer to what you want, and by putting them in and implementing your policies, you are actively persuading people and showing them that this stuff works. And if you want, it's more likely because of that.
Well, and Andrew Breitbart had a great quote back when he was alive. It was actually his last, literally like the last thing he said publicly,
Hmm.
which at
Interesting.
CPAC, which was, I will vote for whoever our nominee is because if we don't, we lose. You have two choices,
Yeah.
and that was back in 2012 when that was like back in early 2012. I don't think Romney was even the nominee yet when Breitbart passed away, but I wasn't a Trump guy at first. Like I'll admit that. But when Trump first came on the circuit, like I was kind of like, this is the guy from The Apprentice. He's done this before. Like I'm not really sure if he's serious. He's probably not. Boy, was I wrong. But I was like, well, if he becomes a nominee, I'll vote for him because
Yeah.
like I know it's gonna be Hillary, and I despise Hillary Clinton so much. So you know,
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, with the Groypers is that I'm all for taking the trash out and getting rid of fake conservatives and, fake trads or whoever. I'm cool with that because I want people that are genuine and they're real. I don't want any Caleb Robertsons and Lawrence Southerns in the movement. I don't. But what I do want is unity. And when you're pushing this stuff and you're talking about Israel too much, to the point that's a little weird, and sometimes these people are anti-Semitic, sometimes, you're just pissing people off and you're creating stupid infighting over stuff that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to voters right now. And the left is going to laugh this up. I mean, you're seeing, and it's important to watch this rise of the trad right. And I don't think they're going to be mainstream. I can tell you from personal experience, people on this campus at least do not like the Groypers. I should be like clear. Most people on the right do not like the Groypers and the trad right. Do not like Nick Fuentes and the trad right. And the people that do are a very small cult. They're a hardcore cult following, and I'm not trying to say that to just be disingenuous to them or mischaracterize them or anything. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, from my experience, that's what we've noticed, and other people can back that up. It's only like a small group of like 15, 20 people that love this guy and this movement, but they don't entirely love it too because they all have issues with it and their stupid purity tests. But by and large, like our group me of like Turning Point people is like 400, and their group me is like 70 or 80, and like a lot of them are just people like me. They're just in just to see what's going on. But there are people that show up to meetings or hardcore people are only like 20, 30, where we got like hundreds of people to our events and whatnot. 700 out to Don Jr. and 300 we had to turn away. And the other thing too is their group me only has 3 women in it. We have 2 women on our exec board. I'm not trying to flash some sort of diversity card, but you know they don't attract women, and that's a huge demographic that you're hurting yourself with. And they're all the ones that say identity politics wins and you gotta use it. Well, you're not using it if you don't have any women. Okay? I don't like identity politics, but I do see that there's, you want to reach out to as many people as you can on your side without compromising your values dramatically. And you want to have people of different, backgrounds than you. Because if you just do one demographic, like you're not going to win. And I don't see in a lot of these groypers that I personally know a drive to actually, a true drive to, I mean, there is a drive to win, but I don't see a practical plan to win and to actually make change. They're more about, causing chaos and screwing stuff up with no actual good outcome. Like, we had a thing where we were trying to kick out the establishment of the college Republicans here last year because they were totally corrupt, losing dues money and losing CPAC tickets for people, and we don't know what was going on. We were raising hell about it, and we were making some progress because we wanted to get an Army veteran in that they said he couldn't run. They said he didn't pay his dues and a bunch of BS, even though he pays dues twice. They were stopping him from running because they knew this was going to ruin their legacy and was going to bring in somebody who was a Trump supporter, a veteran. I mean, that's pretty bad that college Republicans are just discriminating against a veteran. You had some of these alt-right groyper types, trad-right, whatever you want to call them, whatever you want to label, this sort of more extreme right people. It's a mix of a lot of people. They were kind of like allies in that moment of us, more centrist people, more moderates, and they just screwed the whole thing up. There was, I don't want to go into detail because it's a sort of private thing that happened, but there was a big outburst that was just, detrimental to it. And they're good at that. They're good at screwing things up. Like the Trump Club used to be just a normal Trump club. They kicked out actually the same guy, this Army veteran. That's double irony here. They kicked out this Army veteran as president of this club and replaced him with some dude that was more sympathetic to them. And he seemed like a decent guy, but he didn't do much. And the whole thing fell apart and got taken over by radical extremists and groypers and trad right, and now it's just a pathetic club. I mean, their flyers are terrible. They're just all like, there's no color on there, and it's just pathetic. Like they're really just going good at screwing stuff up for the rest of us. They're trying to actually make progress and win.
So are you still with Turning Point now, or is Uncensored America or America Uncensored going to, take up most of your time, do you think?
Well, I'm still at Turning Point now, and I'm going to be till the end of this semester, and I'm still going to work hard to, do what I said I was going to do, which is grow this chapter, upgrade this chapter, make things bigger and better. Because during the Groyper Wars, people were sort of like wondering like how I felt about it and what would happen to the state of this chapter. And I told them, I said, look, I've said this over and over again. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. Because but we still kept doing our own thing. And that's why I told you, we're going to still keep doing that as long as we can. And there's one thing I couldn't do, so that's why I created a new club. But, that's fine. It's okay. And after college, I'm going to focus on the Uncensored America and see where we can bring that. If people are interested, if you want to help out, start your own chapter, or help me make this a national effort, please DM us on Twitter. It's at UncensoredAM. You'll find us on Twitter there. And if you want to follow us too, that'd be nice. And we can get in touch and work something there. But I want to grow because I think it's a necessary thing that can hopefully unite not just the right but the whole country. That's a big optimistic thought, but who knows? And I'll hopefully, and this is the main goal, is to bring back free speech, like truly bring back free speech, to bring back these people that have been censored and silenced and give them a voice, give them a platform, because they've been deplatformed, they've been silenced, and nobody's fighting for them, and somebody has to. So that's why I feel like I need to do this. And we'll see where it goes. I'm going to be working on 2 clubs at once for this semester, but after that it'll just be Uncensored America, and at CPAC I'll see if anybody's interested in helping out too.
Well, I'm sure you've got a good system going, and it sounds like you've got a solid plan behind you. Another place you might want to look at promoting yourself is Parlor, uh, which is
Mm.
which is another network. Not a sponsor, by the way, so I'm not showing anything, but that they're kind of like a
Sam, you're gonna be called a shill now. It doesn't
uh,
matter. You're still gonna be called
oh
a shill.
I'm I'm always called a shill, especially are there any of you VFM out there or unbearables out there? So um,
Well, see, I can relate because ever since the Groyper shit, I've been called a fake conservative, an Israel cock, a liberal, even. Like, there's just so many things they throw at you. A grifter. Like, they throw all these, like, stupid, like, labels at you, and they know nothing about me. They know nothing about what I'm doing right now. And then when I even tell them, like, hey, I'm actually starting a new club to make a speaking event happen because I can't through another club, they're still like, "Oh, you're a fake conservative." And I'm like, "Oh, screw you guys! Like, you're not gonna get allies and actually do anything productive if you treat people like that. Especially, you know, with their past behavior, they have no room to talk on some of this stuff. So it's, I that's a small tangent, but like, it's something I think we both notice when you rise to any sort of prominence, is you get these people that come after you like that.
oh yeah, and but see it's at least in my case and in your case, it's never for anything like valuable or anything like that. It's always for like petty bullshit like that.
Yeah.
So
And the
um
thing too is like, they act like I'm like doing all this to, move up in the world and have a great career and make a lot of money. It's like, you do realize putting my name attached to Turning Point, putting it attached to Donald Trump Jr., and putting it attached to this new club with this speaker, that kills so many career opportunities. Okay? That's actually putting skin in the game and blood on the line. Like, I mean, you can't appease these people. And it's like, we just had the most free speech event ever at Penn State. And we're going to have another one. There'll be just as free speech, if not more, this semester. It's going to be a whole year of like the most free speech events ever. But still, I'm a fake conservative. I mean, maybe because I'm not trad enough. I don't know. Maybe I'm not even conservative. I don't know. I just been keep doing what I've been always doing. Like, I'm not changing who I am, except some things do evolve. But at my core, I'm always going to be pro free speech. That's never changed, and they know it.
and the other thing too is, I mean, I've been accused of being like an Israeli shit. I've
Mm.
been accused of being like an Israeli, Jew shill, and it's like, I always kind of wish I were, because if that were the case, like I would be in a much, I wouldn't be doing this from my bedroom. Like I'd be doing this from like a, nice like $10,000 or more studio.
Mm.
You know like
Yeah, and the other thing too is like, you when your show, I keep doing my show, no matter how much money we have or what status we in. Like, these people just whine and complain. They don't do anything. I mean, I will give Fuentes credit where he actually did a Groyper summit, but like the people I know, they don't do anything. They do nothing but like circle jerk at these meetings about their ideas, and that's only as good as it can be. Like, you need to bring other people in and actually start persuading and start challenging things. Speaking events are a great way of doing that with controversial speakers. And this takes a lot of work. It's not easy. I mean, with the Sargon event, I was up really late, like long hours to like 4 a.m. many nights, and then waking up at for 9 a.m., 10 a.m. classes or whatever I had at the time, and it was. You can tell, you can separate the men from women, or the, should have said that way. That's going to get me,
Uh,
out the wrong way. You can separate the men from the boys. Yeah, you can separate the men from the boys, but you see who's actually putting in the work, who's actually risking stuff. And it's something Milo talks about, people like Roger Stone, Gavin McGinnis, Alex Jones, and himself, of course. That's when you can really separate things. And, you still are going to get people that want to leech off of you and clout chase all the time. It sucks, but it's a reality.
two things I have to ask you regarding the Great Dark Lord Alex Jones. First off, what do you think of what went on in Virginia? In my mind, that was a success. And then also, what do you think of Alex's son Rex?
Well, I will say, Alex Jones driving a tank through Virginia, going full on 1776 will commence again. It's probably one of the most beautiful sights Virginia has seen since the Revolutionary War. It was just glorious, beautiful. Look, I love how how many people turned out, the thousands that turned out, because conservatives normally don't turn out in those numbers or in protests, and how nonviolent and peaceful it was for a bunch of people holding weapons and big scary black guns, and everybody thought it was going to be violent and all this stuff. Nothing happened. It was a beautiful success, perfect optics. Maybe there should have been maybe some more like resistance or protest. I don't know, but I think it was well handled, well managed. These people knew what they were doing, and Alex, gotta give the guy credit, dude. For someone who has been banned from the internet, except his own 2 websites he has, and his Telegram channel, he was still on the front lines, made it down there, made an effort, and still is, just battling it out. I mean, it's true spirit and energy that you rarely see. And, his son Rex sounds like he's the next generation of that. He's the up and coming Alex.
I'd love to try and get him on the podcast, but he's just as hard to reach as his old man is. So.
Yeah, I might be able to get him on my show. I'm trying some leads I have, and we'll see where that goes. Maybe I can help you out too with that.
If you need a co-host to sit on, I promise I will. I promise I will be good, and I won't trigger the censors. So, but
Well, the beauty of the radio is you just can't curse.
yeah,
You
no,
can say anything else.
yeah, no, I know. I used to do terrestrial radio, and then
And yet you cursed on my show.
well, I've been away for like 5 or 6 years, so I got used to this podcasting thing and saying whatever the fuck I wanted to, and
Oh, it is nice.
that's why real news after you get out of college needs to continue if you have the
Live
time.
on.
So but
Live long and prosper. We will.
yep. But anyway, Sean, I want to thank you for coming on one last time. Where can we find you at? Because you're all over now. So
Yeah, I have so many Twitter accounts is ridiculous. Well, for now. Thank you for letting me on, and I want to say though, like you were like the first guy, like I think you were his third guest we had on technically, but you were the first guy we got in contact with that was like a true fan of us, that truly liked us. Dictator Phil reached out, and you've been truly genuine and nice, and that's a rare thing in this world, trust me.
thank
Of
you.
all the people I met, they're just fake. Like, I really appreciate that. That's why I love doing this, and I'll always do your show,
I've
and always have you on mine.
real quick. I've been at this for I just turned 25 last week, and
Yeah, happy birthday.
thank you. And I've been doing this for come March 25th, it will officially be 12 years. So
Wow.
I'm kind of an old man when it comes to like this, and it's really exciting for me. I mean, not that you and I are that much farther apart, but it's exciting for me to kind of see the newer generation take over.
Hmm.
I mean, minus the exception of little shits like Fuentes and whatnot. Maybe that's just me being a grouchy old guy, but it's nice to see that there are younger conservatives out there who are taking the torch on, and so I really want to help the younger generation of conservatives um,
We're trying.
you know
I thank you for that.
prosper and grow. So,
Yeah, yeah, we're trying. 'Cause that's what that's why it was so inspirational about Trump was seeing all this young energy come in. These people that didn't vote for, before, that were Democrats or that were just
yeah.
sort of centrist, didn't care about politics. Now they were excited about it and they were in it. It was just a beautiful thing. And you can find me on two platforms now. Uh, Uncensored America on Twitter at Uncensored AM. We're going to be announcing our big speaker. I'll drop this on your show.
Oh,
If
nice.
all goes to plan, that's a big if. So I don't want to make a big promise, but if all goes to plan, we will be announcing our super huge, massive speaker that's going to be might make national news. It's going to be a pretty big deal. We'll be announcing that on President's Day, appropriately. Have to have a patriotic day to announce it. February
Nice.
17th. And you will hear about on the Uncensored America Twitter and Facebook. So that's at Uncensored AM. Check that out and follow us so you can stay up to date on that. If all goes fine, if it doesn't, and you followed us, you will know that it's going to come up soon. So follow that there. And I'm also on Versa Media because I do the talk show Real News with my two fabulous, wonderful co-hosts, my best friends, Dictator Phil and Alex. And occasionally my girlfriend comes in. That's on the line 90.7 FM. So you can check that out. That's at Versa News Media on Twitter. And I'll post the links probably somewhere, and I'll post this video on those channels too. So if you want to learn more about those things, go there. And we have video archives of all our interviews we've done on the Versa Media YouTube channel, which you can find through the Twitter, or just type in Versa Media on YouTube. And you can find our interviews with Milo Yiannopoulos, Mike Cernovich, Six Hexenhammer, Sargon Vakad, Hunter Avalon, and much, much more. Jack Posobiec. They're all fun interviews. I think everybody, especially your ones, to enjoy. And of course, I always encourage people, check out more Sam's content because he's a great
Oh,
guy.
thank you. Well, and also, if guys, for those of you watching on YouTube, if you guys go to, if you guys go to my channel homepage and check under the suggested channels, I believe, unless YouTube, reset their, layout, which they do constantly,
All the time.
I believe I still have Versa Media as like one of my recommended
Oh, that's so nice of
channels.
you.
So, you can access Versa Media from there. Infowars is no longer on there, unfortunately, for obvious reasons. But you know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But again, we make the best these plays.
yeah. So all right, Sean. Well, thanks for coming on, and I'll talk at you down the road, brother. So
Yep, thank you.
all
See you
right,
guys later.
and
Subscribe
and
at Uncensored AM.
folks, thanks for watching, and from all of us here at NGC Studios, good night, God bless, God save this great nation, God, freedom, legacy in that order, and I will see you on the audio podcast on Thursday. God bless, and God save this great nation.
Amen.